I didn't stay in the sun, I stayed in the shade. It was only walking from like the food to the beach to the food. I know it was, somebody's gotta do it.
Jim said when you arrived, it was a 2-hour drive to the hotel.
It wasn't hot, it was like 8 minutes.
Oh.
Just had one too many freaking pina coladas, that's all. It's between 5 and 8 minutes to the hotel. He's about St. Lucia, it was a 2-hour drive.
Oh.
Remember, we're on Grenada, not St. Lucia. He gets confused. It was great. Anybody looking for a nice island? I've been to a lot of the islands, but I tell you, it was an amazing island. Great resort, beautiful, clear, crystal water, and good pina coladas.
It was like a all inclusive or just
It was all inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I took my kids and Jim, the big kid,
Mm.
that was my Christmas to everybody. So, yeah, I had my, so there were 6 adults and 1 2-year-old. Good morning, girls. Good morning.
Teachers, what was that question we had for Stephen yesterday?
Wait till we start. Wait till we
Okay.
start. And we'll do it all
We've
together.
been already
Don't say a
discussing.
word.
Don't say a word. I kicked one to the
Don't
table.
spoil it.
Amazon's usually here, so I'm looking for her. She'll be here.
She'll be here.
So I just passed the that little piece of paper. So we have all the social medias active. So for example, our latest was LinkedIn. So we have an actual business page where you can actually, like, let's say, report that you work for Royal LePage West. So if you want to sign up to that, and I know most of you are following Instagram. But if you can join the other social media and share, that will be important. That so we can grow our audience. On another topic, I want to pass this along. So when was it, at the beginning of the year or before Christmas, I sent an email because we have the opportunity to take the course provided by, well, it's the RENE course, which is called the Real Estate Negotiation Expert course. That's actually provided by the NAR from the States, which is the National Association of Realtors. But it's actually taught by the Real Estate Institute of Canada. So the course has been
REIC.
Yeah, it's been Canadianized, right? So the cost per course is 325 Canadian dollars plus HST. And then there's a one-time designation fee that you would have to pay the American. That's 159 USD, right? But you can use that designation in your cards as a.
You have to renew it every year.
No, not that one. The other there's a few other designations that you can get. Refer to that email that I sent if you want more designations. Some of them they're all kind of different, so they're not managed by the same group. They're a little bit managed differently. So we can have somebody from the Real Estate Institute of Canada teach us only to our office, but we need 12. Okay, so I'm down. So if you want to sign up for that course, it will be 2 straight days on Zoom with your cameras on, or we can bring the teacher here, right? But you have to be the entire time that we have that course going on.
And what's the content, William?
The content is perfect question. So I brought a little RENE Real Estate Negotiation Expert course. So and of course I send the link also, so you can have a look at that. And if you're interested, we would need 12. I mean, I'm down. So
it's a negotiating course.
It's a negotiating course.
So has anybody replied besides you saying they were interested?
I sent it like right before Christmas, so we knew everybody was gonna be really busy. That's why we wanted to bring that up. So if we want to do it maybe in February when things are still a little bit slow, we can. So I just need, volunteers to sign up, and then we'll arrange a date. We'll make sure that everybody knows about it. So in case you want to sign up, let me know.
And the designation is what?
RENE.
REN.
Real estate and
Negotiate.
Expert negotiator or whatever. So
It's not a bad title.
it's not a bad title. There are a few other designations that we can pick up, but that's the one that has the least amount of cost. Other designations require you to have a annual membership with the
Yeah.
NAR.
Seniors one does.
Yeah.
Right, so there's all kinds, there's property management, there's a seniors course, there's the seller, like, listing agent course, there's the buyer. Course,
That's the Real Estate Institute course.
yeah,
REIC.
What's the cost to this?
so $359 plus HST, that's to pay for the course. Provided by the Real Estate Institute, and then we, they report the exam that you pass, to NAR, and then you just pay for the designation to the NAR in US dollars,
150, wasn't it?
159 or 150, yeah.
But the cost of the course is Canadian.
The cost of the
The
course is
designation
Canadian,
itself is US.
and you can get that invoice for your expenses and all that, so
Yeah, it's all expenses.
And it's a one-time payment and
That's it.
like, and you can have that in
in
your
your
cards
card, yeah,
forever
exactly,
and speak to your client. but-
correct.
Do we know anyone who's taken the course and did they say it was beneficial?
Yes, when I spoke to the Real Estate Institute of Canada, they said that people are very, very satisfied with the course. And that it's actually Canadianized, so it's obviously related to what we do here.
Yeah.
So they said it was actually beneficial.
So,
But it's a biased thing.
but
it'd be good
the
to-
Real Estate Institute of Canada, Rico, we also send people to their courses. It's a very well approved educator. So I think anything from the Real Estate Institute of Canada would be a perk.
And in fact, I think the membership, you can be also a member of the Real Estate Institute of Canada, which is kind of like a tight group where they also do all kinds of events and trainings and all of that. I think the cost per membership is, I think it's about $800 per year. But they're saying there's actually pretty worth it, and they're giving us their price to like member price for that, as long as we get 12 people.
And what about this designation?
So it's just that you can have a designation, you're an expert negotiator, right? So,
But this is American.
yeah, it comes from the American side, yeah.
So can you finish the Canadian, the course, like Canadian?
The course is
but do
Canadian.
not ask
The-
for
The course is
American
Canadian,
designation?
but you pay the National Association of Realtors in the States, because they're the ones that own the name, right?
The trademark, it's
the
trademark.
trademark.
Yeah.
So once you completed that and you pay for the trademark rights, then you can have it in your card and your on realtor.ca and all of that.
And if you're gonna take the course, you definitely want the designation, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it.
I just got 3,000 business cards printed.
You get a little pen and you're right, real small.
Yes, it's the proper new business card.
Yeah, it's gonna last me about 10 years.
But
The
I
cost-
just need to be kind of protect, because like, so somebody will say, but this is Americans, they say that he worked.
No.
In negotiation,
They-
but I would like to have. this
People
kind
would,
of
no,
competition in
nobody,
Canada.
no, the course is Canadian. The content is Canadian.
Yeah,
If somebody would to challenge you on that, you would explain that. The course is Canadian, the content is Canadian. The designation is owned, trademarked in the US. But you would explain what it is in Canada. I don't think anybody would know the
nobody's gonna-
difference. But nobody's gonna know the difference, Paul. They don't know apples from
The idea
oranges.
is that you are a better negotiator, I mean, just like, who cares, nobody's gonna
Exactly.
question.
Well, I don't know if you're a better negotiator, you've taken the
We're
course.
negotiating based on email offers, right? But at the end of the day, it's all
Yeah.
about marketing.
Persuasion guy.
Yeah,
The social media post.
That's a social-
Yeah.
it's a very expensive social media post.
Spoken from the kid. You good? Well, now that everybody's here once again, Happy New Year. I'd like to welcome Steve. As we've had Steve in before, he's from Rock Capital. And I'm asking Steve, but I'll start you off, Steve, because you're the best. Go for it. I know that some folks had emailed me asking me to have some experience about mortgages, about the rates and everything that's going on. Is that anything? And so if there's anybody has any particular questions, Steve is here. Go for it.
All right, let me start. So it's last month. Most people probably know that we had our 7th rate hike of the year of last year, so we had a busy year. So it's from 0.5 point to 4.25 overnight. The prime rate is now 6.45. So what that means from a stress test qualification point of view for your clients is now clients are gonna be qualifying in that 7 to 8% range. Based on if they're doing fixed or variable kind of product they're doing, they're gonna have to qualify around 7 to 8.
So they still keep this, I thought there was a discussion that they gonna remove this stress test, it's just useless, but they still put 2% over to.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I think it was late November, they had a review, they're gonna look at it, and
Yeah.
nothing changed.
I think it's more important now that the interest rates keep going up.
Yeah.
Because they need to know that they can handle the increases.
So the stress
Yeah.
test, as a reminder, always is, qualifying at 5.25
Yeah,
or contract rate +2. So everyone was qualifying at 5.25 all of last year until rates got called north of 3. And now you're qualifying at contract +2. So whatever whatever your rate is, add 2%. So we were talking about privates. You like it?
Yeah.
So or if you go to B lenders, or if you're more 7 to 8 is people that have good credit that are qualifying at the lowest rates. Some don't have to qualify now at 9 or 10. That being said, there is lenders out there that do qualify at contract rate. So there's all different products and different ways to qualify. So that 7 to 8 is kind of the standard.
so that quick question, sorry,
Yeah.
okay, let's say someone is going to renew the mortgage.
Mhm.
For instance, yes?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the mortgage went up, and he may not be, are the banks are still going to qualify you or just on renewal, or just they simply send you papers for renewal, or
You still-
without, going through again, because that's a different rate, suddenly maybe you may not be qualified.
Right, so if you have a with lender, they may just, they're happy with you, they may just send you a renewal paper. Don't have to requalify, you just sign, take that rate, whatever they're gonna give you. If you go shopping around,
Sure.
then you have
Yeah,
to,
that's true. Yeah.
you have to kind of all the paperwork, all requalify. So on renewal, they don't ask you documents.
Yeah.
It's if you try and, if you're gonna refinance, sorry, on renewal, if you wanna consolidate some debt or add more money. If you change anything with the mortgage, it's now considered a refinance.
Yeah.
So if I wanna pull some credit card debt, pay that off, add any movement to that number or any terms, you're now refinancing, now you're requalifying, needing paperwork, income documents. And then again, the loan amount is based on income and you go from there. So that's kind of where we're qualified now, stress test wise. Next Bank of Canada review is going to be Jan 25th. So Jan 25th, March 8th, April 12th. So 8 times a year, every year, they do the review. All the dates are listed now if you want to have all 8 dates. Social media posts. That's another good one. I'm trying to put out soon. Just like, here's the 8 dates for the year. Put on a post, send it out, so you'll know. Not everyone knows. It's only the 8
Yeah.
dates. They're already listed. You can find them. So it's like Jan 25th, nothing in February, March 8th, April 12th. There's nothing in May, June. You have one. So those are the 8 times we look at it. The December announcement, the tone of the messaging was a lot softer versus prior messages. So prior messages was, we have to raise rates, or more rates are coming. It's kind of more hikes are coming. That was kind of the tone for the past couple. December was, we're gonna wait and see what happens with the economy. So it became a lot softer. People, so that had everyone talking about, are we hit the peak? Most people believe we're kind of getting to that, the crest of the mountain
Well, that's
here.
what I was gonna say, do you think that we're gonna have more raises throughout the 8 months, or do you think it's gonna stay?
I've stopped predicting because
Do you think these interest rate hikes are helping the economy? Like, is it doing what they were trying to do? Getting the inflation down?
It has, so inflation peaked at 8.1 in June. And it was on upward trajectory, 8.1.
Yeah.
And then since then, that's when we hit the big 1%er. And then it's so pretty fast. It came from 8.1 down to 6.74, 7, 6.9. It went to 6.8 in November. We don't have December numbers yet. So only down 0.1 in November. So it wasn't as big of a dip as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So it's working, but not as fast. That said, they always say as hiking cycles take 18 to 24 months before they kind of take effect. So what we're doing now, you're probably going to see the effect of next year. Again, I'm not predicting, but when you read all the economists' predictions, when they're looking at it, the thought was, we had to slow down in 2023 midway through. flattens, and then we start kind of seeing the decline come back down. So the caveat to that, so we talked about next one in January. Some people are saying we may continue still with one there. The unemployment numbers came out last week. That's kind of
Not so bad. It was at the 5.
right. So that's the big news right now with the interest rates is that employment numbers are well, like 5%. It went down from 5.1 to 5, which is not good for the rate hiking. Means
Yeah.
we have to rate hike rates more because unemployment's down. There's 104,000 new jobs.
It means that you have to increase the rate? That doesn't make sense.
It's basically saying the economy is doing better than expected.
Yes.
We like Tiff Macklin, he's trying to slow this thing right down to get prices down, inflation down, and then kind of speed it back up and kind of get us to equilibrium. Right. So he's trying to crash the plane, get us right down here, and then prices come back down to fight inflation. Once inflation comes down, then he starts raising lower rates and kind of get the economy going.
Stimulating.
But the fact that people are getting jobs and the unemployment is down, doesn't that also help the economy? So doesn't that?
We're trying to crash the economy right now. We don't want to help the economy.
No, I don't-
So if
I should take an economy.
So here's one way to look at it is, so there's more jobs than there's people that want a job right now. So the employers actually have to pay more. So supply and demand.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay, so wages is a big driver.
Yeah.
So as there's more jobs, they can't find people. The people are actually demanding higher wages. So the employers have to pay higher wages to fill these jobs. When they pay higher wages, now they have to increase the price of their goods to pay these wages. Now price of goods go up, which is driving inflation. That's kind of how the trickle effect now works. So it's
So they wanna hear that companies are laying off thousands of people. Essentially.
the estimate for December was 5,000 new jobs. There was 104,000 new jobs. So like way off. So the big news last week was
That's bad for inflation.
right, unemployment is doing great.
But it doesn't matter whether it's the full-time job or part-time, which is still no there's no distinction at the end.
Right, good point. So
But on the other hand, the equilibrium said, but if the banks, so if they have a higher interest rate, they're gonna be less people who are asking for the mortgage, so they have a less business anyway, so it has to be, because now we had a 48%, what is the 48% less transactions in
Right.
December?
Yeah.
And I'm just, so they didn't take, there was no mortgages there, like they didn't take mortgages. So it's very, very complicated, I mean, it's like kind of game, yeah?
That's a
I
Peter
think
picture.
I think too, though, they're also trying to get people to stop spending. The raise rates high, whether you're getting a new mortgage or already have a mortgage, they're trying to apply pressure to people with debt to have more of their cash flow go towards paying debt and not buying more stuff and driving prices up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of slowing the economy down too, right? Is people stop spending. People are still spending. They still sit on cash from a
COVID.
bunch of COVID money been given. Wages are now going up. So people are still sitting on, people are still spending. We need people to stop spending, slow this economy right down. Then inflation kind of hopefully follows. The other thing I was saying, we talked about the 6.8. That's the consumer price index, CPI. The actually core inflation is where they take out gas and food. And that's more of the measure they look at. That actually went up in November. That went up 0.4, so that's not a good sign. So that company with GDP continues to kind of month-over-month climb. Unemployment is doing well. So last week, it kind of said it almost guarantees that we're going to see a 0.25 something in January. Again, I'm not going to predict, but last week's news was more than likely we'll see something in January just because we're not getting down as fast as we can expect. But then after January, you got a whole month off in February, nothing till March 8th. So again, depending on what those, when December number comes in at, what Jan number comes in at, we'll see those two kind of inflation numbers. If they are starting to climb down, then they hopefully are pumping the brakes and everyone believes we're kind of hitting this peak and hopefully it starts slowing down mid-year and then starts coming back the other way. Again, as long as inflation comes, that's the big thing. Watch the inflation number. When you see it every month come out, that's the trigger. Once you see that inflation number coming down, then I believe we'll start slowing it down. And that's,
Do these economists look at sort of the psychology of spending? Because, and I don't want to like take up too much time saying this, but I'm just thinking like in terms of COVID and people not being able to go outside to shop, it was mostly online and stuff. They all of a sudden were released into the market.
But it's
And it's like, oh, I want to go shopping and
Travel.
yeah, so like, and travel and all these other things, right? So are they taking that into consideration? Because I feel COVID has really sort of been a factor in all of this. And now that, now we're more open and we're doing things.
yeah, it's a great point. I believe the same. And I'm sure they have. I'm sure they look at spending habits, and there's a lot of talk about post-COVID spending and that we, at our houses for so long, time, I want to spend at restaurants, I want to spend experiences. I want a lot of that stuff.
Because if that's the case, it'll on its own take care of itself.
That's what they said last week when they announced the numbers. They said, we don't know where we're going. This is when the heads of the bank, he said, because this is just not how it all works in a recession that's coming. It's just a totally different situation than what they've had in the past.
No, they're not used to it. New territory.
Right, that's the big thing. That's why predictions, whatever you read, are always, there's so many new variables that are like uncharted waters, right? No one knows what you can,
Ten
Try it.
economists, 10 different opinions.
right.
They
What
could have
a-
just left it alone and
I
they
mean-
would have worked it out.
Economics is not science, right? And they say, but
Yeah.
it's not.
The question is, how many people are getting rejected by the bank when they're applying?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Demand
Exactly.
because I think everyone's kind of waiting for the spring market to see like, is it gonna come back? Predictions or not, I don't think it is this year. And just because it's supply and demand, I think a lot of sellers are kind of sitting on the sidelines right now, waiting for that spring market because they know prices are down. But however, buyers, they just can't qualify for what the sellers are still asking for, so there's not that demand there.
But some of the sellers are gonna be put into a position where they have to sell
Exactly.
because their mortgage is now increased and they can't afford it.
Exactly. And back to what B said about the whole psychological part of it, I think a lot of people aren't very aware of their money, where you get some stimulus from the government and, oh, let's go spend it. Like, no, if you don't have that to pay back, you don't spend it, you don't take the vacation because, well, everyone was just not worried about borrowing money because interest rates were so low for like 2 years.
That's right.
So they were like, oh, don't worry, it's cheap to borrow, it's cheap to borrow. Now it's not so
It's
cheap.
free money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's not so cheap, and they're gonna be in big trouble, I think. Well, I think it started, so. That's just my 2
I
cents.
think
but,
2023
I know.
2023 is gonna be a rough year.
Did you find that a lot of people had put in offers and their closings, they couldn't make the closings because interest rates changed and they no longer qualified?
There was some in our office. I personally didn't have any that way. There definitely was, there's a lot of talk about that where
Yeah,
people were backing out.
Or they had to go to secondary money.
Right.
There was more
Or
of
they-
that in the pre-construction business, like if you buy it with a
Right.
year over difference and they suddenly,
That's more, yeah.
that's the biggest.
Yeah, some condos are
No longer
careful, right?
qualified, the price has gone down, they don't want to, so that's when it becomes a legal action, right? People are being forced to buy or forced to sell based on what their contract said, or they're losing their money and.
so when your mortgage is up for renewal,
Mhm.
do they automatically just renew with you at the new rate, or like, I'm just clarifying to him. So say I bank with my mortgages with TD and they won't make me requalify because I'm already with them. Like, are you recommending these people probably should just do that and not get a new mortgage and shop around?
I always recommend shop around, like, you always look, right? I would say never sign the renewal, cause it comes at a renewal. It's easy to sign, you can wait for the last minute and just sign that thing.
Yeah,
Always look around, see what you can qualify for. If there's a better deal out there, you can always go back to that renewal. So I always recommend looking around for sure.
But people are renewing at the new rate.
Yeah.
They're not, their banks are not letting anybody off or.
No, so
financial
at renewal, the bank will send you a renewal, and they'll you can choose here's our 5-year fixed, a 3-year fixed, here's our, variable rate. So we'll send it to you that way, and that's all for the the A lenders, the B lenders, they can have 1-year terms. And they'll look, and they're not just gonna renew. Cause it's a 1-year term, the B lenders, the idea is. You want to put someone in a B lender for about a year or two, maybe they can renew another term, you have to requalify again, they wanna make sure that they're a little more strict. And then the idea is you wanna qualify and move them up to the A lender eventually. But it is, with B lenders also a fee, right? So there's a upfront fee of 1% or 2% of the mortgage amount upfront plus the interest rate. So when you requalify it another 1-year term, you're now paying that fee again.
I think this was our question, because in the States you can do a 30-year mortgage. What are the lengths of mortgages in Canada?
Yeah, so most people do 30s.
So
There's
we-
30-year
your
mortgage
mortgages in
here in
Canada?
Canada?
So they're all very, we renewal every
I
5.
didn't know that.
Oh, but
Yeah.
renewal every 5.
Yeah, renewal.
So we can do a 10-year mortgage if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're
Amortization.
yeah.
Versus term.
Yeah.
That's-
Yes,
I think
yeah,
so, yeah.
So the answer is no.
We're
Okay.
talking about term.
We
not
don't.
amortization.
They're talking about terms,
Oh, okay.
they're not about M.
Yeah,
Yeah. So typically it's 5, you go 5,
do
7,
10.
10.
Yeah, I've seen, the most I've seen was.
I heard
after
there was,
10,
I heard there was talk of 40-year amortization with the interest rate hikes. Is that happening?
There is a couple out there that are offering it. Yeah, some more B, some of the model lines, B lenders are looking at 40s.
that's a
So
lot,
there's
wow.
different ways to qualify. Some of even the A lenders who had the variable with the fixed payment.
Yeah.
So it's fixed payment where their payment never moved all year, but each time the rate went up, the percent of principal interest increased.
yeah.
They got to the point, talked to a lot of the news about trigger rates and threshold rates. Once you're paying only interest, it triggers this threshold rate. And now all of a sudden it reams your mortgage at the current rate and your payment jumps. Like some people double overnight. So there was ways to go in before and do a couple of things to kind of stretch it out. But in those cases, lenders are working with people who all of a sudden have this big spike and saying, we'll offer not to advertise, but we'll now offer like, you go out in the bank, talk to somebody, they'll give you a 40-year. They'll do a 1-year interest only. We do a 40-year, but when you renew at the 5-year mark, you have to renew it at 25-year AM. So they'll give you a 40 years. So they're giving you short-term breaks. So they're doing like say it's a 1-year interest only, because they believe rates are going to come back down. They're going to let you do a 40-year AM to get your payment lower, but then when it comes for renewal at the 5-year mark, then now you have to re-am it at 25. So you have to be able to afford it 5 years from now. But they're kind of doing these little things to kind of give relief in the short term.
Do you think it's going to provide relief, or do you think it's just kind of prolonging of making prices go lower? Because I don't know.
I think it provides relief, and it all depends on the person's situation, right? So like,
Right,
from a cash flow perspective, if this is your home, you want to stay in your home, you don't want to,
of course.
and you can't afford the new mortgage. It helps you from a cash perspective, do other things.
Mhm.
Everyone has different goals with their mortgage, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the right person, it helps for sure.
If someone wants to renew and keep the same payments that they have, will the institution allow them to turn their 25-year amortization to like 30 years or something and still keep the same payments per month?
Increase the M,
But yeah, so look at do that, sure.
they will.
And they're even letting you go farther. So
Yeah.
they're being more lenient right now. End of the day, most lenders are fighting over clients, right? So they want your business. So if you're, it all depends too. If you're a good client who pays your mortgage on time, never had any late payments, they have all your financials. If you're banking with them, they have even more visibility on what you own, what your assets or wealth is, and they want to keep you in house. They don't want to send you out. So if they can do stuff to keep you paying your mortgage, keep your money with them, for sure they will.
I see here on the radio advertised a lot about a mortgage company. It's way below what you hear for posted rates.
Yeah, I hear that one too.
I'm-
North,
Monster mortgage
No,
something?
no,
No.
North of the B.
Yeah,
I've heard it.
they give you 10 minutes, you get the approval, something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to say, it must be,
Easy,
it
something
must be one of
easy.
those mortgages that is like a million loophole, like a lot of.
Yeah, it's all different. So the best rates are for insured products. Believe it or not, guy putting down 5%, you actually get the best rate,
That's right, yeah. Doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
because he's also paying 4% to the insurer.
Mhm.
But that insurer,
CMHC.
CMHC or Canada Guarantee or Sagen, one of the three who's insured the mortgage is now taking on all the risk.
That's right.
So the lender says, sure, I'll give you the lowest possible rate because I know that insurer is, if you're in default, I'm getting paid.
That's right.
So it's all a risk. The rate is relative to risk.
Never thought about, this is good information.
Yeah.
So every time you see a low rate flashed on a thing, they're always quoting the 5% down insured product. Insured also has to be below $1 million. To be insured, you have to be below $1 million purchase, above $1 million, okay, be insured, 25 years, 30-year can't be insured. So the insured deals are the best rates, even if you have, so the banks don't do it, but the model lines do it. They actually have insurable rates. So insurable means it's below $1 million, 25-year AM. And then it depends on the loan to value. So if you have, 75 to 80 loan to value, is one rate. 70 to 75, all of them. If you're below 65% loan to value, and it's below $1 million home, and it's insurable, you'll get rates similar to someone putting 5% down. Because the lender now has the option that they can pay the insurance and guarantee their loan. So they're covering their butt. You don't have to pay it. So as a buyer, you're not paying that 4% to the insurer, but the lender has a choice. I could insure as more if I want to. And so I'm gonna give you a lower rate, because my risk is a lot lower. It's all about risk. Rates really come down to risk. And that's the.
Are we good?
And then also, you gotta watch out too, for some of these low rates, there's some mortgage out there, and there's a bona fide sales clause where the only way to get out of it, you have to sell your home. And there's some,
Oh,
I never, so when you look at rates, I never choose there's like low rate basic mortgages, but there's so many things in there that can screw somebody that I never look at them, but not worth it, because it gets scary. To save 5-10 base points to lock someone into, handcuff them into, they have to sell their home to get to their mortgage, or like huge penalties down the road if anything changes.
What if they can't sell it? What do they do?
You stay in it.
I guess come down to legal action, they figure out, I mean, it's,
You keep paying your mortgage.
they pay it off and, I don't know.
Okay, I think we're good. Anybody else? Daniel?
I just want to say one thing. I was telling you, I watched the Brian Buffini predictions last year, and he says that 2023 is going to be a slow year, like we all know, but they are estimating they're going to be losing 200,000 agents in the US alone.
That won't be sad.
Mhm.
That won't be sad. A lot of them need to go.
That's what he said. He said, be it here or in Canada, there's way too many agents.
Get rid of the weaklings.
I don't think that's new, we don't want to see it go.
It was always like that.
Yeah.
So don't even think about it.
That's right.
Or,
Every time the market gets slow, the people that can handle it get out, and that's it. And the market gets busy, they'll jump back in. I mean, there's people that are looking to just make their license now.
And especially with travel that now force you to pay by December 31st. Right, so you didn't do any business the year before, in 2022, like making you pay in December. Right, so maybe people.
And you
people
see,
didn't pay.
years ago at Chubb, that's why we split the fees. We split it so everybody didn't get hit all at once, and now that greedy folks they are at Chubb these days. Are hitting us all together now at a bad time of the year. Because I voted back in the day, like 15 or 20 years ago, Paul, I guess it was now,
Yeah.
to split it up, so people got relief. They didn't get hit with everything at Christmas time. So anyways, and you saw that we're in negotiations with the Barry Board.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's probably good for, it's not so good for Barry people, but I mean, for years, the Barry Board is not want to cooperate with TREB. And now that TREB is no longer TREB, it's Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. They're trying to gobble up the outside boards, which is exactly what they're doing now. Okay. mean, it's good for us, I guess. We can trade up and Barry without having to beg and borrow for comparables, right?
We used to be able to look at that stuff before anyway.
It was an agreement we had. We have, we,
But we could look at the.
Some listings,
Yes,
not
some.
all of
That
them,
was on,
not all of
Only
them.
trap listings.
Only-
Only trap listings.
Yeah, there would be a lot that wouldn't be on.
The
Yeah.
ones that have an X, I think those are the interboarded ones,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
but Barry's one of the last holdouts for, they hated Treb and now they're,
They hate Toronto.
they hate Toronto.
Wonder why.
You probably have agents from that board being real estate, trap agents too, right? So maybe their membership was dropping.
I don't know. I just think that, it's expensive to support a board. And Toronto's got a lot of assets, which all the old realtors have paid for. Back in the day, our dues were like $1,800 a year. Right? I mean, they're half of what they used to be.
Yeah.
So
Plus
we've sat on a lot of real estate over the years.
And plus on the day-to-day business, what I've found was that they didn't like us Toronto realtors to go in there, because
Exactly.
we go in there with like really like big deposits. And they're like, why do you have to deposit so much? Like, and it's like, it's helping the seller, but it's skewing off all of the other Barry offers that are coming in and trading in that area.
Well, They
Same
say,
with Hamilton. Yeah.
yeah, well, they said, we don't go in your
I
neck of the
know
woods
they
and
were
trade, don't come in
upset,
ours,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, because, yeah.
I know when I first started trading, I was up in Innisfil doing a lot of business and they hated it. They basically told me they'll boycott you, but yeah, the world is changing. The internet helped out a lot, right?
Okay, is it like a negotiation that we don't know that it's gonna be, is it gonna happen or?
I think
this is
it'll-
just a-
It's gonna happen. They're gonna put it to the vote in Barry, but their board's recommending it. It's not to a vote yet.
So when they think, like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, or?
I,
No, but
I would think in the early
I
spring, we
think
should see it.
the week of the announcement of this week was that the deal was done.
And I don't think they put it to the Barry board yet. I don't have it with me. I read
Yeah,
it.
I
Does
think
anybody
I
have-
had read that too.
This week
actually.
they said it was done.
Was it done?
He was.
Does
he
anybody
was-
have it on their phone? Did anybody keep that?
You
an
just go
email?
on to MLS to, I mean,
Yeah, it was this week that it was.
Was it done?
Yeah,
it's
it
the
was done.
first thing that comes up in terms
Yeah.
of new articles.
Right.
I thought they were putting it to their membership.
So we don't have anything else to pay this year. It's all paid now, right?
I know,
Uh,
a
let's see.
thousand something
it's all-
hours.
Probably your insurance and,
Your insurance and
400.
But that was on there. That was on.
and guys, no,
No,
there's
that's
Rico insurance.
free,
yeah.
yeah.
I am pleased to advise that our board of directors has unanimously endorsed this proposal.
They've endorsed it. I don't know if it's gone to a vote. This is say, but
Well, it says, has unanimously recommended to its members
Yeah.
that they integrate with TREB. This recommendation has come after months of discussion between Barry and TREB, and I'm pleased to advise that our board of directors has unanimously endorsed.
It means they voted for it.
I thought it went to the membership.
So
Yeah.
membership, like a thread membership.
Yes, their board has
So they're
endorsed it.
gonna
I
be-
don't think,
They have a different fee, like
If approved,
over there.
if approved.
if
Yeah.
approved by Barry members, the
That's right.
integration will result in access for all.
It hasn't
members.
gone to the membership yet.
Yeah.
For all members.
So the board has approved it. It's-
No, the board, the
Yeah.
directors have recommended it to their membership. Okay, it'll be a motion at their meeting.
What insurance do we still have to pay?
Rico,
Rico.
And
Member insurance is TREB. Right?
no, but there's Rico, Rico member,
Private
Rico
insurance.
insurance. It's separate.
The insurance that you're paying.
Speaking of-
Errors and omissions.
Speaking of
Yeah.
courses, guys,
Okay.
now in the downtime, if you have any courses to do this year, you're like, this
Yeah.
is coming up,
That's
or
true.
or anything else, do it now. Don't wait till it's happening. Okay? Cause it, as sure as there is, if you wait till the end, that's when somebody wants to buy a property or sell a property and you're trying to do your courses and work it. It's pretty crazy. So try to get your courses, any courses you've got to do them now. January, February is perfect time. Do your planning, get organized, and hopefully we will have a spring market. Who knows?
The Toronto Star had a full page article in that. And they said we're gonna have a spring and a fall market. It's gonna be smaller, but it's gonna happen.
Oh, sure.
Let me read too much.
Well, with a full page, I don't think anybody reads the Toronto Star in here except Jim and I.
Truly.
I get it.
If there's not enough, we're gonna do sharesies.
While that page is going around, Stephen, can I just ask one more question? So we had a meeting yesterday and we were saying that 25% of trades did not close last year. Was that the right figure? 25%?
Where'd you get that number from?
Yeah, Brian Regine.
Brian Buffini, yeah, in Canada, yeah.
I'd be shocked to see that.
I was shocked too, and I
I
understand
don't
that
believe
there
it.
is a ripple effect, like if one doesn't close, then the one that's buying there couldn't, so it's that ripple effect. But I still thought it was quite high.
I don't
Have you
believe that.
seen that where like there's a large number of deals that don't close?
Yeah, again, I should go off to say, I'm a big feed guy too. I went to see was here. I did the year review. He was
Oh,
talking.
you were there too?
Yeah,
You were there.
yeah. So I love it. So
So do I.
I remember him talking about that fake thing. And he basically said, "Part didn't close." He said, "100% will their fault." Kept saying this year, the pros market. Well, we're gonna lose to our people. Or it's like, you think about his own deal. The realtor on the slide was screwing up. Well, he had to jump in and be like, I'm taking over, like, I'm gonna get your, like, realtors, he was saying, they're getting nervous and they're kind of, their clients wanna back out. And there's just kind of like, yeah, so it's more people getting nervous and they're not giving the right information, they're not kind of educating them properly on the asset they're buying and the whole angle that conversation was about. With the right realtor, you should never have homes that not closing. And it was like, they were kind of just not.
But I thought more like, okay, so I
It wasn't-
understand that
The way he said, sorry.
there's like buyer remorse and that kind of thing. I'm
Yeah,
sure
well,
that's
no,
factoring
there
in,
is.
but I'm actually thinking it's probably more the qualification. Because I've had a number of clients who that bought with me originally,
Yeah.
wanted to buy with me and move up.
Yeah.
But they're like, I can't get approved for the price of home. And I'm selling the house that I have right now.
It's
So
definitely somewhat for sure, yeah.
so they're like renovating
Yeah.
now instead, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and that's like, they didn't even hit the market and close, but I'm wondering like, when you, like, do you see any kind of percentage that looks like that number in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I find that hard to swallow, 25.
Yeah.
I have a deal closing in 2 weeks out in Chatham, Sarnia, Windsor area. Purchase was, we put it in like October, November. It's selling 2 homes, buying a new one. One of the homes as of last week, the buyers backed out.
And that's 3 deals right there.
They got separated. But the realtor found a new buyer, same closing, same price, same everything. And it's like, it was like, I
That's
was
strong.
firing off the paper last night to the lender and getting it all organized and the name and, yeah.
They did an assignment.
Good. Both have mutual release. They have
Good realtor.
paperwork and, yeah.
That's a pro.
So I was talking to my cousin in August, who is like a paralegal out of law office, and she said they had 4 cases, like issues where they didn't close, 4 houses. One was the buyer said, the house is not worth it now, I'd rather lose the $50,000 deposit down payment than buy that house. So he forfeited his deposit and walked away.
Good swallow.
Just a lot eventually.
But yeah, she said there was 4, and that was just that month.
Oh my.
Yeah, I haven't heard that many. I've heard people having to go to a B to bump up their
Lender.
number. But,
So I think kind of maybe in this market, a faster closing would be better. Because the interest rate wouldn't change if it's within like a month or within the time period of the rate hike announcements, right?
If you're getting a fixed rate, you're locked in at.
whatever it
My
is.
client is closing this week, they're locked in at the October number. They
Okay.
qualify in October, they have the same number, it's nothing's changed.
Yeah, we have to respect that.
If you're.
Well, that's a fixed rate and the variable.
The variable will change, but you're still fine, you're not gonna. I wouldn't.
When you lock in, you
Worry.
should lock in fixed though, right?
Well,
Is there much
It
difference now
depends.
than the variable? I don't think
it's a
that
it's
significant
strategic.
anymore.
So the variable is always a variance of prime.
Yeah.
Prime is 6.45.
Yeah.
And they'll range from prime minus 20 to prime minus 1 for the insured one, so
Right,
you're looking at,
and what's the fixed rate now?
For what?
5% home. So the insured ones, below 5% down, kind of, you can get 4.89, 4.99,
That sounds like it's there to get the stuff.
it's more right now.
But-
But you always gotta look at 5-year term, right? With a rate
Exactly.
coming in, a rate going out,
That's right.
what's the long-term play?
It's strategic.
Yeah,
You know, some people are holding on to their variable knowing that the rates are gonna come down again.
Down again.
So they don't wanna be tied into a fix for 5. That's, it's strategic. And it's as how you feel, your sense of security, how, what you can live with.
It's the right rate for them.
Every
I've been-
person-
I've been variable, I've always been a variable, I've never left. It's, if you look at the stats for the past 50 years, and variables one out of 45 or 50 years, something crazy. like,
Yeah.
It's, in the past, it's been a
Is
long.
it popular still now? I mean, still. Is
It's
popular
like
now?
it.
Maybe it's low fixed. So the actual fix is, it wasn't 80% fixed, they went down to 70, 60, a lot of more.
Exactly.
Their payments.
Exactly.
Variables have the most growth in the past 5 years.
Because you can always
So
split
low.
it back, I mean, in the middle, yeah, like,
Oh, yeah, you can always jump into a fix from a
Yeah.
variable.
When you break a variable, you pay 3 months interest. When you break a fix, you pay higher of 2 months interest, or what they call interest rate differential,
yeah.
which is, and sometimes you'll have these $20,000-$30,000 penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that piece, and it's a little dangerous sometimes.
And my daughter paid 75 to
Yeah.
break.
So
75,
they always-
75,000.
they say they're going, the rate going in and the rate coming in.
Yeah, I don't know. Her husband's a numbers guy and that's what I was against it, but they paid the 75.
So I always have the client say, what's your 5, trying to get their goal, what's your 5-year life? I don't even know. Someone says, I'm never breaking this thing, I'm never breaking it. 70% of people break their 5-year after 3.
Yeah, we broke our 5-year.
Yeah.
Everyone breaks their 5 years, like 5 years is a long time, right? The old saying, life's variable, maybe your mortgage should be too, because people have flexibility. If I have a 3-year term, you need to refinance, pull more money out, do anything. You can be a little more handcuffed to the fixed. With some variables more flexible. If it net over the 5 years works out to be about the same, say variable is this, fixed stays here, this is about the same, or you get a little more from the variable gonna need a lot more flexibility.
So you said variable 3 months interest and fixed?
Is the higher of 3 months interest, or this, they call interest rate differential. So say you lock in today at, 5 and change on a fixed rate. 3 years from now, the rate is 2 and change. And you have a couple years left. You're gonna owe that variance, that 3%, times remaining months, times the mortgage amount. So it gets to 20, 30, 75,000 just to bring it out.
That's a fix, that's
I know,
way more expensive.
You must have a nice house.
Depending on,
crazy. Yeah, but it's individual, it varies. Some people just want to know what they have every month to pay and they can live with that. And they can't live with a variable. It's about the personality.
so that's why you have. you
And
really
also
Plus
got-
about what
strategy.
what the interest rate was at the moment that you were negotiating.
Exactly.
Like I actually got a 7-year fix at a very low amount and I have 2 years left on it. So I think I'm gonna be okay, you
Yeah,
know?
you will
But
be.
how likely is that if you still work with that lender, with that bank? So I had this conversation last night, right? That the bank, if you stay with the bank, they're gonna respect that, they're not gonna fine you. They're not gonna give you that
Oh,
penalty.
no.
There's
They-
no
they
respect.
fine- There's,
They-
yeah,
There's no loyalty.
No.
Forget about that.
there's not, yeah,
No mercy.
There's no mercy.
no.
They'll sell your firstborn, believe me.
Even though you're your client and you're
They don't-
getting a new mortgage with the bank.
They don't care. Those days
That's
are
why
over a
we-
long
that's why
time
we
ago.
broke our mortgage, because they wouldn't give us the rate that the other bank was gonna give us. They're like, well,
We're out
but
of
you're
here.
gonna have to spend $5,000. I'm like, yeah, but I'll be saving 10,000, so I'm earning $5,000.
Yeah.
So that was only 5,000.
Yeah, mine was like probably 15, 18 years ago. Like it was right when we bought it, like after we bought our house.
Okay, guys, let's motor on. We're on to taxes from Rico. It's pretty sad when this has come to this, that you know, I've always drilled in everybody. Get the piece of paper, take a copy of the tax bill, don't listen to what your seller tells you. Please. Rico says, it's critical that real estate agents always confirm details of a property using appropriate sources and never make an uninformed estimate on their own about any information in the listing. Details such as property taxes are particularly important. So here's a case. I had this. In a recent Rico discipline decision, a real estate agent listed a home where the final property tax levies were not yet assessed, which we see, because it was a newly constructed home. The agent posted on the MLS service that the annual amount was 1,800. God bless him. 1 week prior to the closing date, an agreement of purchase and sale had been signed. The buyer discovered that the actual tax assessment was 5,500,
Yikes.
more than triple the amount the agent was estimating. Rico's decision found that the agent failed to take reasonable steps to determine the correct tax amount, advertised an incorrect amount, and breached the REBA ethics. The committee ordered 10 grand and take the course. The key learning from this and similar cases is for registrants to use only reliable sources to confirm information that is to be published or shared about the property. The most reliable source is the current tax bill, issued by the municipality. If the seller cannot provide it, municipalities will sometimes for a fee provide the most current tax bill to us realtors. It's also important to keep a record of what was relied upon for the accuracy of the information. If there's any uncertainty about the accurate amount of property taxes, it's important to make clear in listings and to prospective buyers before they make an offer. However, a registrant must not use an estimate or disclaimer to indicate responsibility to get the facts. You know, the ones that say, a buyer to verify all taxes and all that other crap, which is against REBA.
So you're not allowed to use that.
You know, it's not gonna save you.
Okay.
You can use it, but it's
Okay.
not worth the paper it's written on.
Okay,
So another like information I've seen once listening, the taxes are not yet assessed. Is this,
is that?
So you can put 0 in the tax, and then in the broker records, you have to put taxes have not yet been assessed.
I would actually put that in the client remarks. So that
I think it goes
the
in broker,
buyers can.
I think it
see.
goes in broker remarks. I can
But
check.
we want the buyers to see that. Right?
I'm not sure. I think it goes in broker remarks. I'm not sure, but you're right, Ann. I'm not sure. I will
So
check.
the question is, where did he get 1,800 from? Was that the original
I have
of
no
the
idea.
house from before? Because you have to write down in the MLS listing, like 2008 tax, or, you know.
Your
like
source?
Your source. Yeah, you have-
guess.
Yeah, I think he took it, estimate.
yeah, but it's a new construction, so,
No,
you
but
know,
then he
it's-
would be using the last tax bill for the house prior to the construction is what I would assume he or she would do.
No, I can't do
But
it.
that doesn't make any sense. That's even
No.
dumber than dumb.
What do you mean?
completely.
Because that could have been 5 years ago.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, and what the house is there from versus what it was, who knows? Apples and oranges total.
Okay, so if it hasn't been assessed,
Put 0,
put
and
zero?
put the remark, it's not been assessed.
Okay.
Let the buyers go to the municipality and call. Do not put yourself into harm's way with this stuff.
Okay, and so by 0 is better than putting 1,800.
Yes, because they went on assessed.
They're not assessed. You're not misleading anybody, because right now we don't know what the taxes are. But you have to put the disclaimer that they've not been yet assessed. And it is up to the buyer or the buyer salesperson, they want to so stupidly do that, is to call the municipality and see. Just
So
give the
maybe
buyer.
was thinking that because they give the information, because like, you know, we have a, let's say installments, yes, like you don't pay everything at once, yes, you have a free. So it was maybe.
You're looking at the- Not the total final bill. Yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I did.
Like, no imagination, they even like, you know, we have to really.
You have to be, all the information you put on Trep, you're responsible for that information. So, you know, whatever you're putting on Trep, it has to be accurate. And you can put all those disclaimers that you have to, the buyer's agent are responsible to verify. It doesn't mean anything. MLS listing is advertising.
So once a house is complete and renovated, like fully, right, takes usually about a year or something, at least in my neighborhood, it's about a year, I think most places. How fast will the property taxes be assessed once the house is completed?
We're not talking about assessment, we're talking about.
The tax bill.
For the year, the annual.
So whenever you get a
bill,
tax bill,
not
is
the assessment.
it's your final tax bill. It's the one that goes on Trep, not your intermediate, not assessment, the tax bill. And I tell everybody when I'm training you, get a copy of the tax bill and you keep it in your file,
That I do.
okay? It's very important.
Sometimes takes time because of bureaucracy, you know, like, I mean. but
Yes, Ann?
You cannot give.
If you go online to City of Toronto, like we do if we're, taxpayers. then if you have the, you can go in and see what that amount is, and if you have the tax roll number.
And there's
so
a
that's what you're
multiplier.
saying.
There's
You
a
know, get that
multiplier.
verified through the municipality, where you can. you can
Do it
probably
online.
Do it all online, yeah,
And there's a multiplier for every year from the municipality.
but you would not use that. You would absolutely go to the city and find out exactly what.
I would
that
exactly
amount is.
get a copy that I pay to get
Yeah,
the
you
tax
don't
bill.
wanna do.
I
the
pay to get the
calculation
tax bill.
yourself.
It's not worth a $10,000 fine and the other 2,500 I just sent to for a course. Okay,
Well, okay, I need 10,000.
People do
If you
stupid
were, let's
things.
say, if you were, let's say, you're short like $50 or 100 or something, it's not gonna be 10,000.
no, a small amount of difference.
How they evaluate it, how that 10,000, not 5 or. why
Because
they-
the guy was sloppy and stupid, what
Yeah,
he did.
for stupidity.
You don't, yeah, it is, and it's laziness. You know, just do something properly and keep yourself out of trouble. Okay, okay, the next one. Want to pass them on, honey. Sorry, we're just running a little bit off. I was away in Grenada and I saw this come up and I sent it to a few of the folks.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Fraud, all kinds of it. I had 2 mortgage fraud cases this week. Last week,
You want two, what?
mortgage fraud. Yeah, where people supplied false documents. And the realtor was complicit in this, so this is not this, but there is a lot of fraud happening. This is, so for the Toronto Police, during the month of January of last year, homeowners of a Toronto property were out of the country for business. 2 people impersonated the homeowners and hired a real estate agent, lucky agent. The property was then listed for sale. The property was sold. And the new homeowners took possession.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, several months later, after the sale of the property, the real homeowners, the original ones, discovered that their property was sold without their consent. And the man and the woman in this investigation used fake ID to impersonate the homeowners. What can you do? Okay, so I don't know, so let me just say, I don't know what the salesperson did to verify. I don't know if they did their FinTrack. You are
Say
not,
they did.
you are not
Say they
responsible,
did.
yeah, say they did, you are not responsible for fake ID. So if they had a fake passport or a fake driver's license or whatever. You are not responsible, you,
Like, how do you prove that they showed you an ID?
But
Yeah, but even.
okay, hold on, wait a second.
You're doing a FinTrack, all I do is record everything and keep it on file. How would I know that it's all wrong?
There's no requirement.
No, there's no requirement to take a photo.
Well,
You're required, listen, what you're required to do is to complete the FinTrack paperwork. If that happens to be fake at the end of the day, I'm just saying, so this agent's gonna be embroiled in a, spend days and days in court, that's all. It's gonna be a
What
gong
happens
show.
if he had the proper FinTrack?
Yeah, I'm saying, but he's still gonna be embroiled in this.
Okay.
You don't wanna get caught in this, I mean, nobody does. You could be innocently dragged into
You
this.
can be.
He may or may not be innocent in this, I don't know. Because I've had cases where the mortgage broker, the agent and the lawyer were all complicit.
Oh, my.
Okay, I had one last week. Agent, lawyer,
Yeah.
and mortgage broker all in the same game. Okay, faking everything, the lawyer knew about it, mortgage broker, agent, they all,
Didn't discover the.
but in this case, the agent. It doesn't appear, from what I can see, this is all the information I have, wasn't complicit, I don't know. And so if you're provided ID. Make sure you write down to the best, you don't let them fill out the paperwork, please don't give it to them. FinTrack suggests you don't take a photo of their ID, if you want to, that's your business, I don't wanna know. Then it becomes a privacy issue, you've got information on your phone or somewhere of all their ID.
Yeah, but there's some other details. Let's say that someone wants to sell the house, so they probably have to break in first, yes? Like, I mean, you go to the
Oh,
house.
no, not
No,
necessarily.
no, they could be the
measurements.
No.
renters. They could be the renters.
Yeah,
They're
but how you
living
buy,
there.
you have to see the house.
You know, people that don't have a mortgage on their house, it's very easy to sell their
Yes.
house, thank you.
Especially
Oh,
seniors.
not just a mortgage, it could be a line of credit or anything else. If you have a clear title on your property, it's very easy to fake it. Right?
So we say, anybody without, actually, if your mortgage paid off, all that's pretty clear, put something on title.
They put a line of credit.
Line of credit, anything.
Really?
Otherwise, you're. yeah,
Fraudsters.
That's to go after.
They go after those people that they're all on clear title. So you should always keep something on title, because it's much more difficult for them. They have to have somebody at the bank to be complicit as well. But if you write, when you're doing your paperwork, please be very detailed about your paperwork. I know we're not really paper people. But it's important that this agent could be in one of us, is gonna be caught up in this for years. Okay, because it's all gonna go to court, it'd be a schmozzle, and he's gonna go through the ringer with the cops and the lawyers, and they'll try to prove that he or she were negligent, and he or she may have been negligent, I don't know.
But but still, like if there would be a listing of the house, you have to measure, take a photographs, and they have to give you, let's say, the tax bill, or there's so many other details.
But
that you can discover
but if
fraud.
I'm in the house, I
Yeah.
have access to their tax bills
Yeah.
probably, they're probably in the house somewhere.
Right?
Mine are.
Because I
How
understand
crazy
the
do you
word-
have to be like, hi, I wanna sell my house, and it's not even yours, look, this is our bedroom, like, how brazen?
Well, back years ago, I don't know, and it was in Forest Hill, the nanny sold the house. Anybody I've trained, I've told the nanny story to. The nanny,
Wow.
the people were over in Europe for a couple of years, and the nanny knew everything about the house and
Savvy
sold
woman.
the house, had all the documents and got the ID and sold the house, and people came back. I mean, that was 20, a long time ago, more than 20 years ago, I guess. And I mean, this is the
That's
first
easy,
time I've.
and then but I say you also, okay, can I have a SPIS, for instance, yeah? And if you ask the guy questions about the kind of, how did you make any renovations, like, because I understand, it, but we had cases, there were cases before that someone, let's say, someone has a fully paid, there's a kind of fully clear, no mortgage, whatever, and he comes to the bank and say, I would like to make a renovation of the house, I would like to take a mortgage, yes, for $200,000-$300,000, like, I mean, so that doesn't happen to the bank, the representative goes to that house, because there was not those people.
You mean for the
So they-
appraisal?
Sorry,
For the appraisal, what are you talking
so
about?
they had a fake ID and they took a mortgage.
Yeah.
So
That happens more often.
You get caught with that, what is there, but that's the idea. So we have to take IDs, Google's your best friend, your IDs, get pictures, Google people, make sure the names match, and we always kind of look at everything. Because yeah, people do come in and create their home, they take mortgages out, get that money and.
And the lawyer can discover something by doing the search, like the title search, or I don't know.
No, if you got fake ID, I mean, the lawyer doesn't know you from Adam, there's a zillion lawyers in the city, right? It's a market, fraud is huge.
You said that the original sellers are gonna recover the house eventually?
Yes, so we all know that, thanks Julio, that the original homeowners will get the house back. Anything obtained from fraud is negated. So owners number 2 are SOL, they're done. Owners number 1, they get their house back.
So their money is gone.
They
Adios
could
amigos.
have had title search, no?
And
Or
title insurance,
title
none
insurance.
of that stuff is applicable for fraud.
It doesn't apply.
Fraud. Same with real estate. If we do anything as fraudulent, you have no insurance.
But what if the buyers didn't know that was fraud?
Yeah,
I know, but they still, when there's fraud, it doesn't matter. The original owners get the property back.
No, I know, but how are the buyers compensated?
Well, they sue
They sue the
people
agents.
who.
I would go after,
They go after-
They're not gonna get it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I would go after the realtor and the realtor's insurance. And the lawyer,
And the
lawyers have way more insurance than we do.
and the brokerage.
Yeah.
They have way more insurance.
Mortgage, if the
Yeah.
buyers have a mortgage on the house,
The
They can
buyer,
have the
which
house.
buyers?
the buyers that bought the illegal house,
Oh,
they have a mortgage, what happens?
the bank is SOL. And then banks don't like to be SOL.
They won't have to make the payments.
They're not happy about fraud. They tell you, they go nuts. Anybody who's dealt with the bank and fraud is they're insane.
What is the commission, agent commission?
Spoken like a true realtor down there.
So another thing.
I would imagine that agents can, well, he got paid his commission, broker's got paper, he's gonna eating up his time in court. He'll want, if I was him, I want to give it back and get me out of it.
So I have a solution for this. Probably
There's
the
no reason not to, yeah.
probably the title, the documents of the title is supposed to also include the facial, like I mean, the original owner's pictures, like ID or something. So then they compare, oh, the name is the same, but not the same face.
So the way you looked when you were 20 and bought it, the way you look now when you're 80 and you want to sell it. I don't,
Well,
not too cute. They're gonna like to do photos. I don't know any land registry in the world that does photos.
but I have to find, there was always something new, yes?
You
have
know,
to-
but whatever you
head
do,
off
the fraudsters are always a step ahead somehow. I don't know how that is, but they seem to be extra smart in those areas. I just want a few RICO cases here. So Alistair registered. Susanna is the complainant in this matter. I'm not talking about last names. So Alistair is the salesperson and he's employed with a brokerage. Susanna is the complainant in this matter and the seller of a property located on Lakeshore. The listing was dated August 18th, 2020, and the property was listed for sale at $2,298,000, so 2.3. In September, an agreement of purchase and sale was entered into between the complainant and a buyer. The agreement specified a deposit of $130K. $30,000 was the deposit was paid by the buyer at the time. And the agreement of purchase and sale was amended, reducing the total deposit to $72,000. Unbeknownst to the seller, the $42,000 remainder deposit was never paid by the buyer. In fact, the seller emailed the agent asking the listing agent to confirm that the deposit was indeed received into the trust account. The agent responded the same day confirming yes, the secondary deposit was received. It was never received. Although the trade file shows partial deposit funds were received in the amount of 30, the trade file also includes a wire deposit document from the Bank of Montreal that there was a request for a wire deposit, but it was never actually received
By the brokerage.
by the brokerage. The transaction did not close. And it was only after it did not close that the seller found out that the full $72,000 had not been received by the brokerage, contrary to what the listing salesperson said. So the takeaway from that is so what was his penalty? It was 12 grand and I sent him the courses.
What's the penalty?
12,000 plus
12,000.
courses. Courses are about 2,500 each. So the point is, when you are doing deposits, when you are receiving deposits on behalf of your seller, please make sure that we have your deposit. Especially when there's a secondary deposit. So as you know, we don't report to TREP until we have the primary deposit in. Okay, so that's the rules that we follow in this brokerage. Every brokerage has their own way of doing things. Our game is here. I need a copy of your agreement of purchase and sale with the confirmation of cooperation. And I need your first, I need a deposit before I can report to TREP, or Sophia reports to TREP. If you are getting a secondary deposit, that deal's already reported to TREP, you need to follow up, make sure you get it. Okay?
That deal is not reported to Trevi then?
No, it's already have been
Oh,
reported
has
from the
already
first
been
deposit.
reported. Yeah. Okay.
So in this case, the seller asked their agent, did you get the second deposit? The agent's like, oh yeah, we got it. He never got it. Never followed up with his brokerage. Never, they had no idea what was going on.
What was the point from the agent point of view to lie? I mean, it's like he's
No, he was just lazy. He didn't follow up with his brokerage.
No, he lied. He didn't have any, he has it. yeah.
He lied in the sense that he just probably never checked.
So, but he didn't try to pursue it afterwards?
Yeah, dumbass.
Like that, right?
Wouldn't he need the receipts in his file anyway?
But you would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you get two receipts.
But the question is, why didn't it close? If the deal was short, they should have actually say, we're short money. You gotta put the remaining 40,000 or whatever it was.
Well, they probably never had it. That's why they never had it. It was never paid out. So they were shorted,
But the lawyers would have known how much money they had in hand.
but not until the very end.
And even this conversation that the seller has to call you, he's supposed to immediately
Exactly.
inform.
Exactly.
He has
As
the
soon as you get the
deposit or
second deposit, you need to
not. And there's-
advise your seller in writing, second deposit received of whatever.
There's a deadline, yes, on the offer. We have to do 10 days, 15 days, whatever
Yeah.
the case after.
Can I say stupidity
removing
again?
a condition or.
So is there gonna be a lawsuit? because-
Where's the outcome?
I don't know, I don't know. I would
Yeah.
imagine I would imagine the seller is gonna sue them. Right? If I was the seller, I'd sue people.
Cause they probably
Cause
fail on
if-
their own closing.
well, yeah, it's
moving
one thing to
forward.
lose 30 grand, it's another thing to lose 72 grand, right?
Yeah.
Because could be other penalties. Yeah, let's say they sell a gate, because they have to now put it on the market or whatever to sell a gate. If they get less money,
Yeah.
Then that increases their lawsuit.
yeah, it will be a.
But it was in 2020, prices were still high, so. It sold a
Okay,
day
let's
later.
see. Okay, so let's hear, so this is Mr. Ding. He is a realtor. He's employed by a brokerage. He entered into a listing agreement with a residential property in Toronto. The property was subsequently listed on the MLS. It was, oh, this one. It was described as detached. The offer was presented to Mr. Ding on the property by another realtor, the cooperating. In the body of the email that contained the offer, the real estate agent specifically mentioned to Ding that the property was incorrectly untrepped. So, untrepped. So the listing agent is Mr. Ding. He's the listing agent for a property. He lists a property untrepped as detached. An agent comes in, a cooperating agent comes in with an offer, and he sends an email to Mr. Ding and says, by the way, your property is incorrectly listed on TREP as detached. In fact, it's a link home. Ding did not correct the TREP listing. On June, and then comes into June, the seller agreed to sell the property to another group. The property closed and the property took possession. After taking possession, the buyers discovered that the property was not detached, that it was linked.
Over the basement.
So
Yeah, at the
for-
basement
The
level.
foundation.
So it
is-
looks like it's
Garage.
detached, but the foundations are linked.
on the data sheet, I guess 2 years ago now, every time you write that detached property, there's a little box that you have to complete that says, is this property linked? It brought the people's attention to question for all detached properties, look on your head, look and see, is that a linked property? And where do you find that?
Geo.
Or property.
Well, property line, which is now all on Geo. Property line, it'll show you if it's linked. Okay, people look at their eyes and they think, oh, it looks detached, it's detached, they don't check. Okay, so offer number one came in. And the property agent said, Mr. Ding, listing agent, Mr. Ding, your property is listed incorrectly. It's not detached, it's a link. Mr. Ding did nothing. He let it go on TREP as a detached property. Offer number two comes in. The MLS still shows us that detached. Buyers buy it, they buy a detached property, and they find out later on that it's not detached, it was always a link. And so Mr. good old Mr. Ding got hit with 20 grand and I sent him to an REIC course.
How did they get that email? From the
I hope it
first-
was not the expert negotiation portion.
Pardon me?
How did you get that email? How did you guys get that email?
I don't know. I don't know now. In the original hearing, it'll come out how the email came out. But I would imagine the agent number one spilled the beans somehow.
So you don't.
But how would agent number one even know that there?
I don't know.
An issue.
Well, maybe because he wanted his offer to be approved and it wasn't.
Or when
the
he
other
saw
one
it
was.
sold, he went back and said, oh, guys, by the way, I told Mr. Ding way back when
Yeah.
The offer
that this
probably
was a
pronounced
linked
them
property and Mr. Ding did nada.
But they-
There's always somebody looking out for
Yeah.
what you did or didn't do. believe
Yeah.
me.
So the
It's
structure
true.
of the penalty is like 20,000 for the misrepresentation and 10,000 for stupidity.
$2,000 for stupidity. Let's see this one here. Mr. Gordon is an agent.
Is he the
And
complainant?
let's see. This is more
Oh.
convoluted.
The increase in property taxes.
Gas is being bought.
And it has to be accurate. You have to.
This is
Ireland?
completed notice of fulfillment. Okay, so, Mr. Gordon registered as Mr. Gordon with the brokerage. He was with Keller. And at relevant times, Mr. Singh was employed as a salesperson with Royal LePage. In October of 19, Mr. Clark was an assignor. He purchased a lot. Before the transaction closed, the assignor, represented by Rhoda Page through Mr. Singh, attempted to assign the property to another buyer before the transaction closed. Assignments, they're not fun and they're
They're
complicated.
so complicated.
The assignees were represented by Keller through Mr. Gordon. In November of 2020, on behalf of the assignor, Rhoda Page through Mr. Singh listed the property. The property was listed for $559, and on the MLS it listed as an assignment sale. A lot of people don't have any idea what assignments are. Again, in November, Mr. Gordon, on behalf of the assignee, submitted an assignment of agreement of purchase and sale to Mr. Singh. The offer was for $570 and accepted by the assignor. The scheduling of the offer had the following condition. This offer is conditional upon the approval of the terms hereof by the buyer's solicitor. Unless the buyer gives notice in writing to the buyer delivered, so it's the buyer's solicitor has to do. This is a condition for the buyer lawyer to approve, okay?
That's good.
The assignment provided Rhoda Page a deposit check for $15,000 on December the 1st, December the 4th. The assignee through DocuSign delivered to Gordon a signed notice of fulfillment. On December the 4th again, Gordon submitted the notice to Singh. Singh informed Gordon okay. So on December the 1st, the assignee provided Rhoda Page a deposit of 15 grand. This is about timing, guys. On December the 4th at 2:20 at 5:03, the assignee through DocuSign delivered to Gordon a signed notice of fulfillment. So Gordon submitted the notice to Mr. Singh at 11:14 p.m. that same night. Then Singh informed him the offer was null and void because the notice was received after 6 p.m. Remember, when you do notices it, when it says this offer has until 6 p.m. to be released, that means the receiving side of the notice have to receive it. It doesn't mean that the buyer or seller or whoever's actually signing the notice, it has to be received by the other team by the 6 p.m. This is where this is. You with me? You all look stunned.
No, I'm not with you.
I'm doing an offer. There's a condition there. It has to be waived by 6 p.m. tomorrow night.
Irrevocable.
Irrevocable.
Yeah.
Not the
Okay.
irrevocable. It's the
Ir-
irrevocable
on
on
the
the
condition,
clause.
it's irrevocable
Or
of
on
the
the
clause.
condition, yeah.
The other side.
You get it
says-
signed, but you don't get it to me till 6:03.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be to the receiving side by that 6 p.m.
Before the
expiry.
Yeah.
And in this case, what happened was the buyer's agent did not get it to the listing salesperson within that time frame.
even though it was signed before that time frame. That's the point, I think, right?
That's right. The receiving team has to receive it before that 6 p.m. deadline. So the listing agent obviously had a backup. And that's just what he did. He had a backup offer coming in. So he sent offer number 1. You're done. So sad. Too bad. You missed the 6 p.m. deadline. You're done. So if the buyer's agent was sloppy, and for that, let's see what it was to find now. It was $8 grand and 2 courses at Rico.
Yeah, because his buyers lost out on his inability to send off.
The buyers lost the deal because their agent was
When did they?
couldn't read the clock.
Sounds like
mean-
Well,
before.
they signed it before.
they signed it at 5:55.
It doesn't matter. At that point, you better rush your buttons over to get it to the other team.
So I only sent it at 11 p.m., right?
Yeah, it was. It was
Okay.
really late.
Oh.
but-
So I had an issue with one of my notice of fulfillment and I had the 6 p.m. and the one of the buyers was a nurse. And so he turns his phone off and there's no way to get hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
So the listing agent said to me, we were able to revive the deal, but the listing agent said, don't put 6 p.m. And the reference, put 11:59.
That's right.
Yeah, she said because, and she goes, I've learned that in the business. She goes, 11:59, it gives me more time.
Right, I had a seller, they were sellers and then buying in Wasaga once, and the wife, she started freaking out last minute. And they were a great deal. It was like, hey, we want to buy a house in Wasaga and we know which one, so let's go see it. We saw it the same day. Yeah, let's buy it. And I was like, okay, sweet. And then, oh, by the way, we need you to sell our house out in Brampton. And I'm like, well, sweet. That was like 2 deals in one. But then last minute, it was 11:59, irrevocable for them to sign. And she was freaking out and she didn't sign on DocuSign and I was refreshing. She signed on DocuSign 11:58. I was like, but yeah,
But it has to be the other team by that, by. the-
yeah, yeah,
So you're able to send it within the minute?
yeah.
I know, that
Yeah.
obviously if there was a competition, it's a different story, because the agents are great and nobody will be, having an issue with that, but yes.
So is received and not acknowledged, right?
Receive.
Received,
Yeah.
received.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're,
acknowledge is no.
Did
Well,
they
well,
acknowledge
received
4
is,
hours
received
later?
is acknowledged. If I've received it, so, okay, so the deadline is 11:59. I sent it at 11:58. Unless I can prove that you got it at 11, before that 11:59. And you didn't acknowledge it in time. But if I can prove it got to your brokerage or it got to you, that's received.
well, your sent box will tell you what time it was
Yeah,
sent
what's
at.
that?
That's your proof because.
Yeah. It's your proof. But the problem comes in when the listing salesperson.
The other side doesn't have to acknowledge at the same time, right?
They
Unless
can
they-
The
acknowledge
receiving side has to acknowledge that they received it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
but-
have to
but
sign
Unless you're in
acknowledge
multiple.
that.
But then what the
But,
time it's.
but
let's
no,
say
it-
it's done at 11:58, he's already.
Yeah, the
bag,
acknowledgement's supposed to be in the time frame. Yes,
The signing, the acknowledgement. is
Exactly.
The same thing.
exactly. This
So-
acknowledgement is supposed to be in the same time frame, but obviously, if it came into dispute and Julio can prove that he sent it at
Before.
11:57. And you
Julio is the
didn't,
winner.
for whatever reason, you didn't open your emails or whatever, that's not Julio's problem, that's your
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay. But the problem comes in when the listing salesperson's got a better offer in the back. Somebody else is in the wings waiting to jump in. And most guys will be like, oh, it's okay, we'll keep going, right? We're okay with that. And there's some, because as long as everybody to the deal agrees, we're okay. You can move forward. It's when somebody's got a backup deal waiting in the wings, that's a better than your offer, that's when you're in trouble. Okay, last but not least, just for a chuckle and gigs. This agent showed a property in Cambridge. He was showing the property, it was a rental. And when he got there, the tenant let him in and let him see the property. In a rush to open the door, the tenant dropped some coins on the floor of the bedroom. Guess what the agent does? He took the money.
What?
Pay this party. He took the money,
What?
The coin?
the coins. So
Bargain.
he was showing a property in Cambridge. The tenant opens the door. When the tenant opened the door, he had money in his pocket or his hand. He dropped some coins, and I guess he didn't notice it.
Maybe there was a
How
The
could you
agent and his
prove
clients
that?
entered the tenant's bedroom. After the exit, the bedroom, the agent alone ran back into the bedroom, picked up the coins and pocketed them. The agent subsequently left the property with the coins in his pocket. The tenant became aware that the agent had taken the coins after viewing the video of the security camera
Wow.
he had installed in his bedroom. The agent subsequently admitted to the tenant and to Rico that he picked up the pocket and put the coins in his pocket. So that was an expensive showing. That cost him $17,500. And wait a second, and the courses. So the whole thing cost him over 20 grand.
Well, 17,494, right?
Why was the fine so high for
So much
25?
Theft, ethics, theft. And whether it's $1 or it's $1 million, it's theft.
He had to go get his Timmy's after his show.
17,500 and a course. So it was over 20 grand it cost him. 17,500. I sent him to a course for 2,500 bucks.
What,
And
what,
I sent him to a course for 2,500.
What, how much we charge, okay, you use 25 cents, or we charge you 20,000.
Theft.
so what if he resigns from being an agent and gives his license, so he has to still pay this 17,000, because you might be
Yeah,
like,
you-
Julio,
I'm
you need
out.
money for a coffee.
I'm saying-
You're a shooter.
I'm saying.
Yeah, you can give up your license. Yeah, there's some people that don't want to pay the fine and they'll give up their license.
So what we do in situations like, if there's a contract, we just, like, we don't see the.
Wait
coin,
2
or we
years,
just
oh
take
my-
the coin, put on the side.
Yeah.
Like, what's
But
the?
what does your brain tell you to do? You don't take the coin.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
care what you do.
I will keep
I
it.
walked into a house once, there was
I will keep it.
hundreds of dollars sitting on I think I've told this, or I trained anybody. I walked into a showing, knock, 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 no, I had used the lockbox, went in, walk in, there was a pile of wads of $100 bills sitting there. It was like a
Yeah,
trap.
that's what I would think.
So what did I do? I called the listing broker and said, hello, we just walked in. I'm letting you know that there's a wad of cash sitting here on the table. As it turns out, the guy walks upstairs from the shower naked as a chamber, and hello, here I am. He was a construction guy, came in, emptied his pockets, went up to take a shower, didn't hear the doorbell, and this wad of cash sitting there. But I could have taken it and he would never have known. But I called the listing brokerage and said, so you know, I'm walking into your property and there's a wad of cash sitting here, FYI. As it turns out, the guy came out of the shower. It was a great show.
Did he have a towel on though?
And he didn't have a towel on. Anyways, the bottom line is, like, it's either I'm trying to tell you, there's always somebody watching you.
Yeah.
Always somebody watching, even
Yeah.
when you don't think there is. But the guy with the stupid coins picked up change. It was like worth a loonie. The point is, he picked up and kept it. And for that, it cost him big.
What's
You have to be
bothering me
careful.
with this story is the guy in the shower walking around without a towel, like he's getting water all over the place.
I don't know, I thought it was great. I don't know about you, but I'm like.
I had a case that because you can deal with the drug dealers, yeah, like the cashes. So I was showing at the property, I was not there. To a couple, was the house number 4.